From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, How about this? We're winding up July. We're flipping that page on the calendar to August. So we are in the dog days of summer, and that means NFL training camps are up and going. Football started this week. So if you don't like the NFL, you better hibernate until mid-February because there's going to be an NFL game every week between now and the second month of the year in 2026. It's here.
Well, it'll probably be over for the Vikings long before that, but yes, it goes till mid-February now.
Basically Valentine's Day.
Basically Valentine's Day. The NFL has stretched the schedule, and wait till they add that 18th game. You know they're pushing for that. You know the owners want that puppy. They want to collect another big payday at the gates and on TV with all the commercials and everything else. They probably have already promised it to these networks. They're already in negotiations about that 18th week of regular season play. I could do without it. I think 16 was more than enough, but we're going to get 18. So, and the first of the counterfeit football games, as you like to call it, for your Vikings is at home against Houston. That's next Saturday, right?
It is.
What's
the Texans. Yeah, and then they have New England at the House of Noise coming off some joint practices with the Patriots in Eagan. Then they'll finish up in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. And, obviously one of the major questions is, well, how much are you going to see, say, C.J. Stroud when the Texans come here to play the Vikings?
Probably not
a lot, or Joe Mixon or some of their stars. And although I feel like the last year or two, there's been a bit of a pivot because if you look at weeks 1 and 2 of the regular season, they tend to be very choppy and erratic and penalty-filled and mistake-laden and all that because the players don't play in the preseason, so they're not as sharp as they should be. I think some coaches are saying, you know what, I can't spend my life worrying about injuries. I got to get guys reps, let them get out there, try to get as honed as possible.
Without getting guys hurt.
Well, yeah, obviously you don't want to get injured, but it's like running from your shadow. You got to get over that. I think for the Minnesota Vikings, I would like to see J.J. McCarthy play as much as possible. He's a redshirt rookie. He needs the reps.
Will he play at all?
He's got to.
Okay.
Are you telling me you're comfortable if he sat out the entire counterfeit football season, throwing him into a Monday night scenario against the Chicago Bears on ABC? I mean, you can look great in camp against your, the other guys on the side of the ball who are on your team.
Skeleton drills, basically.
And I know it's a vanilla package when you get to the preseason, right? If J.J. played against Houston, the defensive looks he's going to see aren't as exotic as when you get into the regular season. But still, to me, you got to find out what you've got. Remember, he did very well against the Las Vegas Raiders for one half last season, and everybody was buzzing.
Yeah, buzzing until they got the injury report.
And then they got buzzed.
And they got buzzed.
They were depressed.
Yes. Well, the good news about preseason football, or counterfeit football as you like to call it, is that if you're not a huge fan, or if you're a fan out there that has never been to an NFL game or never been to US Bank Stadium or just wants to go to a game, you can get into those preseason games at a bottom feeder rate. I mean, I'm talking less than $10. I looked on the secondary market the other day, and it was $8 for that Vikings-Houston game. Now, that's the cheapest ticket in the house, but I'm guessing that if you left 4 of those tickets on your dashboard of your car, you could come back and there would be 8 of them there.
Yeah, there's probably a good chance that would happen. And again, the NFL, which is the poster league for sports greed, if you're a season ticket holder, you have to buy the preseason package in addition to the regular season game.
And we get 2 of those buttes this year.
That's right. That's part of the deal. So you got a lot of people that they want to go when the games count, but they could care less when they don't count. So they put them on the secondary market. They take a hit. and get rid of them because they have no interest in watching, the second or third team for the Houston Texans take on the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'll spin it. Okay. I'll take the NFL's point of view. As Red McCombs used to say, come watch guys battle for roster spots.
Oh, boy.
Well, Red was a carnival barker, but he was right.
Is that what you're doing now?
Well, what I'm saying is you're watching guys who are trying to be on your second or third team or fill out your special teams. Those are important roster spots, but they're not as sexy or glamorous as watching the ones play.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to see very little, if any, of the ones. We already know Justin Jefferson has been sitting on the sidelines with a hamstring, not his right hamstring, the one he injured a couple of years ago that kept him out of a half dozen games, but his left hamstring. They say it's not serious. Kevin O'Connell says that he has no worries about him being ready for opening day. Look, they better hope that that's all well and good, and that's true, because you're going to be missing Jordan Addison. Speed Racer is out for at least, they figure 4 games he's going to be suspended for because of the mishap out in L.A. when he fell asleep in his car and he was over the limit as far as intoxication is concerned. So, I mean, there are some issues here that they may have to deal with early on. But I think if you're the Vikings, you want that suspension that Addison has to go through. You want that thing out of the gates. You don't want that thing late in the season.
Yeah, you take your medicine early, or
no doubt.
When you're a kid and you eat the broccoli first, right? Then everything after that tastes better. So I would also say this:
I never ate broccoli first.
Broccoli's not that bad.
Well, I eat it now.
For you who thinks we should put these guys in bubble wrap and all worried about injuries. Remember, they did that with Teddy Bridgewater a few years ago. He barely touched the field in the preseason, and then he shredded his knee, a very serious leg injury, in a non-contact situation.
Tripped over a blade of grass,
at
basically.
Winter Park in Eden
in
Prairie.
practice.
And luckily he had prompt response from the Vikings medical staff to get him where he had to be. But so you just don't know. You cannot worry about the injuries.
Yeah. All right. We are going to talk some more football, some National Football League with Michael Floyd. He played for the Vikings, played for a number of other teams, played with Larry Fitzgerald Jr. at the Cardinals. He's coming up next.
Yeah, he's a Cretin-Derham Hall guy. He went to Notre Dame. We're going to throw him some spirals. This is 10K Takes Your Purple Ticket.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
We are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes, and we are talking some more National Football League. As we mentioned last segment, all the teams in camp now, preseason games on their way, of course, including your Minnesota Vikings. We're going to talk now to a guy who had a short stint with the Vikings, among other teams in the National Football League, Michael Floyd. Michael, appreciate you coming on the show. This time of year, when you were in these camps, was it, you had to come in shape. This is not the 1970s when these guys came to camp and got in shape, but you had to come in shape, right? But what was your MO in camp? I mean, was it to learn the playbook better, to get acclimated with your teammates? What type of things went through your head when you were in training camp?
Well, it's first like getting back into the groove, and it's kind of like, your first day at school. You getting to see your friends for the first time, so there's a lot of hugs and handshakes. But a lot of guys do come back in shape and they're ready to go. It's kind of tough for some people, but being a professional athlete, you're demanded and expected to come in and be in shape and ready to roll. And it's a time for younger guys to learn the playbook, but also veterans because they go through the whole playbook during the training camp. So making sure that you can be there to help out the younger guys, but also kind of get better and know the playbook yourself even better.
All right, Michael, you played wideout at Creighton, at Notre Dame, and in the NFL. Justin Jefferson has a hammy injury. As a receiver, how do you view that? Because it's about explosion off the line of scrimmage, making sure you get into your routes. You've got to plant, cut. Any concerns about J Jets with a bad hamstring?
No, not right now. This is actually a great time to have that injury, just because it's not game time yet. We're not even at preseason, so you gotta baby that thing a little bit. But it's tough, being an explosive guy like JJ. You just gotta take time, and until that thing feels 100%, me personally, I would not step on the field. But if you do, get a chance to be on the field, and it's still a little achy, your stride's not the same. You're taking smaller strides. Wrap that baby up because as soon as that stride comes out, you're probably going to pull it again. But and be hydrated. That's the main thing, especially in Minnesota right now where it's 90+ degrees.
Yeah. Give me a sense of who you think Justin Jefferson reminds you of guys that played when you played, either the guys you played with or maybe somebody you played against. What does his game or his ability, his skill set remind you of?
Man, I just saw him. I seen him from afar before. I said hi to him, but this time we had Chris Carter, Adam Thielen, Jermichael Finley, and JJ were there, coaching up little guys going to college at Woodbury High School. And, he's bigger than what I thought, but I think, his explosiveness, his attention to detail, his hands, his eyes, his awareness on the field is just exceptional. I know I played with one, Larry Fitzgerald. People always talk about his hands, being the best, which they are. But his eyes, the way that he can track a ball. I remember specifically, one with Larry when I was training with him one summer. He caught a post route, but he caught it. It was on a one liner, and he caught it like this behind his hand on the other side. With one hand, I'm like, oh my God, this is different. And then that reminds me of JJ. JJ, I believe it was the Buffalo Bills, where like those 4 or 5 guys around him, and somehow, some way, he comes around and catches the ball. So, his just explosiveness, his attention to detail, being a route runner, very good route runner. He can be inside, outside, and he can track that ball with his eyes. And we always call it as a wide receiver, late hands. So, when the defender's on you, he has a good timing on when to, pluck the ball out of the air because, the defense are expected just to go, through your hands, but he shows late hands and catches the ball, 95% of the time.
How difficult is this season going to be for J.J. McCarthy as a rookie, being vaulted right into that number one position, having not played an NFL snap yet?
I always tell people quarterback is the hardest position, in the NFL. And you're going to have ups and downs. But to have, Hawkinson as a tight end, and having a core group of wide receivers around him, and we upgraded to the offensive line also, I think giving him the most protection, possible to have him, examine the field will make him the player who we think he can be. But like I said, I think quarterback's the toughest position because you got to know what everyone is doing.
If you had the ear of Jordan Addison, another Vikings wideout, what would you say to him? Because I know early on in your career there were some bumps, some turbulence, and you grew from it. What would you tell Jordan because he's had the 2 incidents driving?
I would say get a driver.
Yeah.
Let a driver pick you up anywhere. You have enough money. I've had mistakes and I have a driver now. I'm sober, but I still have a driver no matter wherever I go. We go out to eat. I bring the whole family. Sometimes I like to drive, sometimes I don't, but I have a driver everywhere I go. I would just say that. And it's kind of time to grow up, and be a professional. But I did not, and it's different for other people. Some people, they learn by their mistakes like me. And I hope he does too. And, having that, veterans around him to be like, hey, I'm here for you, whatever you want to talk about. is always good too.
The Vikings made a point of bringing in more game into their running game. Aaron Jones, you mentioned a veteran, talk about a guy that you want in your locker room. I've heard nothing but good things about Aaron Jones. How important is that running game for, let's go back to J.J. McCarthy in particular, to know that you have that running game behind you?
Oh, it starts in the running game. I mean, if you can't run the balls you're not going to get a pass. So I know when I was with Bruce Arians down in Arizona, we tried to establish a run every single game. And he only ran like 3 or 4 run plays. So you had to make sure that you knew who you were blocking on them 3 or 4 run plays. But you got to establish a run game, and that opens the play action and gets the guys downfield to make big plays.
I need a quick answer, Michael. We're up against the clock. You won your Super Bowl with New England, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. Belichick's now coaching North Carolina. Will he succeed at the collegiate level?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
No.
Anything in particular? Any reason?
It's just different. I mean, I think having a guy in your locker room like Tom, I always tell people all the time, like, being around that dude for a year, it made me at 25 want to go out and practice. Like, even on the days that I did not want to practice, by seeing him and how he gets ready for practice, it's just like a game. It made me motivated to go out there and, do the best that I can. And that was like a feeling around that locker room. I tell people all the time, I've never been in a place like that ever before. When we were down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, it was just calm. Most teams, every team I've been on, 28-3, you're losing, but not that team. It was like, we got this. We got it. And we won.
Yeah. Well, Michael, we appreciate you spending some time with us and giving us some perspective on this upcoming season, and I'm sure we'll check in with you again down the road.
Hey, I'm open anytime. Let me know. Sorry for being late, too. That was...
All right, we'll do that. He is Michael Floyd, former Minnesota Viking, played for several teams in the NFL, right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us. More after this time.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
10,000 Takes. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint, and the Minnesota Twins are about, 2/3 of the way through this marathon they call the Major League Baseball season. And, all indications are that they have basically said, they run up the white flag. We'll see what happens here down the stretch, but they made the first move with some trades earlier in the week. But I just think that you look at it realistically, with all the injuries to this pitching staff, and it starts with Pablo Lopez, the number one guy on your list, and it goes right down the list. Bailey Ober's been hurt. Zeb Matthews has been hurt. I mean, who hasn't been hurt? Has Joe Ryan been hurt? That's about the only guy that I could think of.
That was last season.
Okay, yeah, and he was out. Yeah, he was out quite a bit last.
Strong.
So, I mean, having said that, I'm sure that Derek Falvey and Rocco Baldelli and all the rest of the brain trust over there said, I don't think we're going to make any kind of big run here. But my question, and I'll throw it to you, are you wasting a great year by Byron Buxton? Are you wasting another year on this big contract where you are paying Carlos Correa? So I think that these are questions that you have to really answer. And if that's the case, then do you start over?
Well, I think it's clearly been a breakout year for Byron Buxton. Now, he did go on the IR earlier this week. He's got the rib situation
again.
So
hurt again. I mean,
yeah, but he's been able to kind of shed that narrative until now.
Let me ask you this: Do you think that played into their decision to start dealing guys?
Oh, I don't know. I think that they're looking at guys that were on one-year deals.
Right.
They probably weren't going to make a move in the offseason. To me, so far, at the time of this recording, I'm encouraged they haven't dealt Joe Ryan. Byron Buxton says he won't go. He has a no-trade clause in his contract.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Byron Buxton.
They're not going to do anything there, and they haven't gotten rid of Johan Duran or Griffin Jacks. They have some key pieces. Carlos Correa, you're exactly right. For the amount of money he's getting, and it's a ton. They gave him the Denver Mint, right, to sign him. But they need more out of him. If you're going to pay him that much and you're the Minnesota Twins and you're not going to dole out that much money to other guys, Correa has to step it up. He hasn't done it offensively. I think defensively you never worry about him.
No.
He's solid out there at shortstop. With Buxton, I think the good news is this is the first season in a long time that he's not always rehabbing. He's just coming to the ballpark and he's ready to play baseball. Now, again, he'll be rehabbing for a bit, for a few days, but hopefully they get him back for the rest of August and September. I don't know where to go, what to think about this team. They're in a state of flux with ownership. I think this ownership situation has to be solved sooner rather than later so they can get a compass and figure out which direction they're going to go. Because if you bring in the right owner, let's use the Washington Commanders as an example in the NFL, how toxic things were under Daniel Snyder. I don't think they're that toxic here. The Pohlad family just doesn't spend money, right? They're not like Daniel Snyder.
They're not involved.
Their character. Yeah, they're not involved. I think they've checked out. But you get somebody in like Josh Harris that the Commanders have, and all of a sudden you're interested and you make a few moves and you tell the fan base you care. I mean, this is a good baseball market, but you got to show some love to the fans in Twins territory.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that has happened recently, nor do I think it's going to happen here in the offseason until, what you just said, new ownership comes on board.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say a new owner comes in and they commit to upping payroll. Do you think free agents will come to Minnesota? Now, Carlos Correa has. Granted, the second go-round was because it didn't work out with San Francisco and the New York Mets.
Right.
But can you get a free agent to come here? I think you can.
Yeah, I would think that you'd be able to. I mean, look, Pablo Lopez signed an extension to his deal when he got traded here, but he decided he wanted to stay here. So the Twins signed him to a longer-term extension. Carlos Correa, granted, didn't pan out for him in New York or with the Giants, but he decided he wanted to stay here. So I think that there's some reputable information for potential free agents to come to Minnesota. Byron Buxton, you just said it. He said at the All-Star game, talked right into the camera and said, I'm a Minnesota Twin for life because I have a no-trade clause. So I think that you could potentially attract free agents, but they got to pay them, and they have to show some kind of willingness to try and win baseball games by going out and going in the extra mile and getting a guy.
That's where the new ownership comes in. If that person
Absolutely.
or group comes in and says, we're all in, we're going to bump up payroll, then you get a guy like Buxton or you get a guy like Correa or Joe Ryan, and they become your recruiters. They can make a call or go visit somebody and say, come to Minnesota. It's a new era. We can win here. Our division clearly is not the top division in MLB. We missed the boat. Earlier in the year, we were singing the praises of the AL Central.
No more.
Well, guess what? It's now the NL Central that we should be giving all the props to.
Yes, that's for sure. All right, more to come. We have takes of the day. That's coming up next. Everybody's favorite segment of the show. Stay with us.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Wally and Eric from 10,000 Takes here in the land of lakes. And if you want sports of all sorts, Check us out. We cover all the bases, all the teams in the great state of Minnesota.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, Timberwolves, Loons, you name it, we do it. Late night Saturday night on Fox 9 Plus and on the Fox local app.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
10K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers here in the Twin Cities and, of course, up I-35 in the twin ports of Duluth and Superior.
Yes.
All right. Are they going to learn that you're a happy camper this week, a cranky commander, a grumpy guardian, or maybe it's something else?
Well, I would say cranky Yankee in so far as the U.S. government not allowing a Little League team from Venezuela into the United States to play in a tournament in the Little League World Series for I think it's 13 and 14-year-olds. I don't quite understand all of that. I mean, they're kids, for goodness sakes. But no, I instead of going off on that, I figured I would pepper you with some more Twins talk. If you're a Twins fan right now, you got to be just exhausted. You know, I mean, what has gone right the last few years? Yeah, they made a postseason run or a mini run a couple of years ago. They won a first-round series against Toronto. They won the 2 out of 3. And they won a game from Houston before they bowed out in 4 games. I mean, that's all well and good, but they didn't build on it last year. And they were just awful for the last 6 weeks of the season. Now this year it seems like this is another, bus crash, whatever you want to call it, dumpster fire, spinning out of control. And as a Twins fan, you just got to be weary. When is this thing going to turn around so you can actually compete for a World Series? It has been since 1991. I mean, they've been to the ALCS once since then. And other than that, in the early 2000s when they lost the ALCS, they haven't even been close. So I don't know, man. I'm just exhausted by it all.
All right, let's check out that mood meter. And he is a cranky Yankee.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and the bad news is the Twins haven't played the New York Yankees yet.
Oh, boy.
And that is typically their kryptonite. So
there's 6 more.
It could get worse, even though the Yankees have been scuffling and
That's
slumping.
true.
All right, I'm going to talk Minnesota Twins, but I'm not going to be Donnie Downer like you. I'm going to salute somebody I met the other night just because of the weather fireworks we had
my goodness.
at Trendy Target Field on Monday when the Twins took on the Boston Red Sox. You and I were there. We're going to the bottom of the 9th, and suddenly they bring the tarp out, and you start to see the lightning. And most of us said, okay, we got to get out of the ballpark, try to get home and beat the rain. That was my MO. So what happened? I leave the press box, and within 2 minutes, I'm looking out into right field, and it's a Miami monsoon. And I said, oh, boy, I'm going to get drenched on my way to the car. I had a 10-minute walk. Well, I also had my computer bag, all my media stuff in there. And I went into the Twins store right by the Rod Carew gate, and I asked a guy by the name of Alonzo, Zoe. I said, can you get me a couple of these Twins bags, the plastic ones, so I can cover my computer bag? And he did.
Came
and I
through,
wrapped it up tight,
right.
And I darted to my car. I was totally drenched, but the laptop, the phone, everything survived. So good job, Zoe. Jim Polak, give that guy a raise.
Oh, boy. I don't think Jim's in charge anymore. I think it's Joe now.
Joe.
Yeah. Say it ain't so.
All right. We got to go. Thanks for tuning us in. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.